January's over, so let's look back at the new and notable games that we played last month. Hi, I'm Libby, this is Julian, we are BoxedMeeples, and today we're going to talk to you about all the games that we played in January that are either new to us or notably fun or one of our favourites, etc.
As you may remember, at the end of last year we said we're going to try and buy less, and because we did our top 50 and it was shocking how many of our favourite games we hadn't played that year. So we did make a pledge last month that we would try and get some of the old favourites back to the table, and I think we've done okay.
We've done okay, yeah. So we'll start going through them and we can sort of mention which ones are our favourites and which ones are new as we go along. We have played only 6 new to us.
Well, that's an achievement
So,
if we're playing lots of old games. True to our word.
So, it's not too bad. We did play first off a couple of great games of Root. I mean, I've played it about 5-6 times this month, so who knows how many plays you've got, probably loads. But we had a lovely game online with Jeff and Jamie from Foster the Meeple. That was a lot of fun. Auckland Alliance.
It was a brutal game. Well, it wasn't a brutal game for...
It seemed to go super quick. I just scored the points.
It wasn't a brutal game for me. I was playing the lizards and no one was attacking me. Yeah. And it wasn't drawing blue cards. It was a case of how on earth do I get points here? Yeah, but our games of Root have been both new and notable because...
Yes, I had never played loads of the Marauders or with the Hirelings, and we did have a game with a friend. I played the Badgers, the Keepers of Iron, are they? You were the Corvid.
So that was the only faction I'd never played. I don't know quite how that's been, but I saw the opportunity to play. We always played the advanced setup, so I saw the opportunity to play the Corvids and I went for them, and they're fun.
Yeah, and our friend was the Lord of the Hundreds, the sort of rat faction. Yes, and then we had 3 different Hirelings in. So first time I played with the Hirelings, first time that I played with any of the factions from that expansion. So that was fun and interesting, and I'd like to play them again and sort of try to sort of hone in the technique. I think with all of these factions, the minute you sort of are getting towards the end of the game, suddenly the sort of puzzle for that particular faction sort of coming into place, and you're sort of realising all the mistakes that you made early on, that it's too late to adjust. So
you had a lot of bad luck. You're flipping over really hard relics to get. They're really high point scoring, but they're the first ones you're flipping over, so you get bad luck. And I hadn't realised until I played the Corvids how quickly they leap up in score. They're very, very slow to start, but then you have big, big leaps.
And it was hard to keep you at bay because through mistakes that I had made it more difficult for myself to be able to travel across the board. So it was quite a while to be able to then interact with you, particularly to then be able to stop your sort of token flipping palaver that you have going on.
What's your thoughts on the Hirelings? Do you think they save the 2-player game?
I don't know. I think we need to play as a 2 to decide that, and maybe play them a little bit more. They were interesting, but I was expecting them to be slightly more punchy. I felt slightly... I only got to use them once, and then I had all 3 to deal with, plus my new faction, so it was a little bit overwhelming. And I sort of felt like, oh, right, I thought these moles were basically going to go around and kill everyone for me on the board, and I would just be me left. That
didn't quite work out like that.
That wasn't the case. So I thought that they might be slightly more punchy than they were, but I think that potentially was just issues with where I was at that point in that game and who I had and stuff like that. So a few more plays before I can say that.
It did feel like a kind of 6-player game when we're playing it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't feel like there was an issue in terms of player count. It was just what everyone was doing and how that was able to affect my particular team. Right.
We've talked about Root so much recently.
It might as well be just a Root video. But we also had, which was maybe slightly premature for January rather than February, the month of love, our gaming group decided to do a 2-player night. So we had to bring just 2-player only games, and it was kind of a bit like speed dating, but not like that. Just for games. And so I played Aquilin, which I have played many a time, but you had never actually played it before.
No, I've never played Aquilin. So quick, simple,
fun tile placement, some interesting you can annoy your opponent in that one.
You can. You might have seen in the Favourite Game Friday we did for Favourite 2-player games, I took lots of games, but everyone wanted to play Rocketeer, which is fine, because I really enjoyed that game.
Lovely to be able to get that one back out to the table.
It's nice to introduce it to people and know they enjoy it as well. It was a fun night.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to play that, so I'm hoping that we might actually play that in February for some Valentine gaming, along with Patchwork Valentine and Fog of Love. We'll see if those actually happen next month. But I played Paris, Cité de Lumière, which is lovely, Lost Cities. I played actually a new game to me, I think it was called Cathedrals, and you're placing out these polyomino buildings, which were not quite as plush as that big box Foundation of Rome. But it's a very old game, and you are sort of placing out these buildings to try to sort of stop your opponent, so that was fun and different as well. Let's see what else we have on here. We did play one of our favourites that we haven't played in a while, Trekking the World.
So
that's always easy to table.
I think that was the case. It was a case of we were tired after it was quite late and towards the evening, wanted to play something together, and it's always nice just to get a game out and just.
It's one that's not too long. We know it quite well, so you can just sort of get a play done. You know that it's not going to be hours and hours.
Yeah, you can get it. It's tactical as you want to make it, really.
Yeah.
And you're being very mean by blocking my route around the world. But
I just needed to be there. At least that's what I'm telling him. I played Barrage in person for the first time. Now, I have played it before on BGA. But it was one with my colleagues, and we were just sort of hitting buttons and hoping for the best, not understanding.
That even counts as playing.
No, I didn't. I don't think I counted it last time. We didn't really know what we were doing or how to get points. It was very much everyone's in this to explore the game and see if we can work out how it works, and none of us really achieved that. But I did achieve that when I played it in person with people who actually knew how to play, so that was nice. And you're sort of flowing water, and you've got to have your power stations and your dams and get the power points in order to be able to get the little special tokens of extra points and prizes that come along there. And it's interesting because each round you've got to get further and further up on the power in order to not lose points.
Okay.
So I found that mechanism really interesting.
It's a big push to keep progressing.
Yeah, you've got to get better and better and better each round, and sort of where you place your engineers and what you're allowed to do. It has this sort of wheel, whereas if you're putting out, say, a dam or something, you're going to use so many types of a resource which will all be put on the wheel. And then each time you put something new on the wheel, it will turn around, or if you move the sort of spanner, that will turn it round extra. And you don't get those resources back until the wheels come all the way back around again. So you really have to think about, how much am I going to use now? How much is it going to be lost for? Have I got any of the sort of special tokens that will let me turn the wheel quicker that I could use to manage my resources better? So that's interesting. And as I said, the sort of scoring minus point situation was interesting. So it's one that I'd like to play again.
I didn't play that because I was playing Heat, I think, at the time.
You were, yes.
Which I'd heard a lot about. You'd played it at Essen, and I hadn't played it. And someone bought their copy. It was available to play, so I was intrigued. I would say it's my favourite kind of straight racing game.
Yeah, it feels very sort of, and it's not Formula One-y.
Yeah, it's my problem I have with games like Formula Day is just dice roll. This never felt like that. It does feel like you're in control of the game. It's tactical. It's not just random chance. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as I thought I was going to. I did enjoy playing it, but people made such a fuss about it. It could just be because that style of game. I think against
the hype, maybe.
Yeah.
Your sort of the expectations are up here against.
Yeah. It could just be it's just not my kind of game, and it could be a very good game if it's your kind of game. But for me, it was enjoyable. We played it twice. I wasn't ashamed to play it twice. I wasn't like, oh no, I'll go and play something else. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed it more the second time, and I got a grasp of it. But it doesn't need to be in our collection. But I wouldn't say no to playing it.
No, see, I did love it at Essen, and I won. It was brilliant. And my problem is for it in terms of it being in our collection is that we don't often have the opportunity to play a racing game, and I think it's better as a group rather than a two. And I think when we have people over to game, they don't necessarily gravitate for racing games. They're either non-gamers and we can barely get them to do a little party thing, or they're gamers and we're hoping to get together to do something sort of big and epic that we haven't sort of managed before. And maybe if it was here, we would. But I just worry that we wouldn't get it to the table enough.
We haven't played Neon Knights.
No, and that's not great.
That's probably because it's not as good.
It's not great. No. But we do sometimes, when we go to another friend who does love racing games, play games like we've mentioned before, Dodo's Riding Dinos, which is super fun and silly. And he has a lot of racing games, so you kind of feel like, do we need to have them when we would play them with him and he owns them all?
I think I would rather play Dodo's Riding Dinos, or indeed Pitch Car, flicking that around. That's what was fun.
They're both fun.
I think that's more my type of racing game.
I did like it, but the hand management, it's just owning it and liking it.
Yeah.
In order to be able to play it more. Yeah. We played Notable, not new. Notable. We did well.
We have. It's 2 notables.
We've finally got our complete collection of Everdell to the table. Now, technically that's a new box.
Yeah.
However, we do know and love Everdell and have played it many a time when we owned the base game and the Spirecrest expansion.
So guess which bit we played.
I think this is... Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly what
we had everything Everdell, and we gravitated towards the ones we'd already played.
Well, no, I think we wanted, because it's such a big box, you want to make sure everything's in the right place. How does everything work? We needed a bit of a comfortable refresher into the game that we knew and loved before we then delve into the new elements of it, because it's been quite a long time since I sold the base game.
Because you sold the base when you were backing it, and it made no sense to keep them, and obviously the value of it was going to go down as this came out. So you sold at the right time. It just meant that we were out Everdell for
a long time.
8 months, 9 months.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since we had a play of that. So yeah, we got that back to the table. I'm pleased to do that, and we will delve in to the new expansions next time.
Very keen to play again.
Yeah.
Want to play Pearlbook? I've not played Pearlbook.
Yeah, I have played Pearlbook, so that would be maybe the next stepping stone, and then we can go to the newer expansions from there. Yeah. But it's a lovely game.
It's nice that it was as good as I remembered.
And the wooden tree.
Yeah, so much better with the wooden tree.
Glad I have the wooden tree. So that was our notable, not new. Be proud.
Doing well on this mission.
Right, where are we? We played a couple that we have done for Kickstarter videos. One was Echosphere Rewilding the World, which is a nice sort of card play game that was cooperative. So that was really interesting.
That. It was good, isn't it? If you want to watch that, there's a link to it on our YouTube channel. You can have a watch that, and that's going to launch on Kickstarter soon. So
yeah, go and have a look at that. And then the other one was Hollywood 1947.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Had high expectations for it, loved it.
Yeah, that ticks all your boxes, that game. Like in terms of its theme of Hollywood and things, you quite like that social deduction.
Yes, well, it's nice to get together with our, at a board game club at the end of the night and all play. And we played at 9 players.
We did, which is like max.
And obviously
first play as well.
Yes, first time we introduced it to them, and it was we had to teach it because obviously it's on Kickstarter now. Going to be ending soon, so if you are interested, you need to head over there and back it if you're interested.
Yeah.
But obviously, Nana played it. She had to teach it all and play a game, and everyone enjoyed it. Everyone really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
I think it will be one that will come out regularly at the end of the gaming night, because we often do that sort of group social deduction if we've got a few minutes towards the end. Once you've finished playing a bigger game, then there is time to sort of several tables get together and play that kind of game. So I think it will be a popular one moving forward. And again, there is content on that if you click on the link, and you can read more about how to play and what we thought of that. So that was fun. We also played Northgard Uncharted Lands for the first time, which on paper should be like the perfect game for me. It's Viking theme and all of that, and it's one that I had looked at backing. I mean, the front cover looks great, and it was an interesting play. I think I liked it more than you did.
It it's one of those occasions where I did enjoy playing it. It didn't really click. I played other games quite a lot recently of those kind of exploration 4X style games. I preferred like Civilization and New Dawn much more than this, and I can't completely pin on why, but just I enjoyed other games more than that. It didn't feel intrinsically bad or broken or anything like that. It just
not your favourite.
No.
I think I liked it a bit more than you. I liked the little sort of animals when the wolves are coming out or different things like that, and you've got to sort of, they each have slightly different things that they move towards or do. I found that really interesting, and the card art I quite liked, but I think I was expecting the board to look a bit different, it didn't really have the Viking kind of feel from the board itself, but the cards I quite liked. But I enjoyed the game. I would play it again.
It like I said, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It just this is other games I'd love to play,
which is fair enough. One that we have been wanting to have for ages, and we've played it for the first time, and we played it with your girls for their first play as well, is Potion Explosion. It's one that we've played on apps, online, loads, and it's been really hard to get hold of here in the UK, and I think they've just done a reprint.
Yes, so we saw it at Uncharted and grabbed it because we have been searching, and it went for far too much on eBay, especially when you factor in postage. So we saw it there and we grabbed it, and it's in lovely condition. There's no problems at all with it, but it's been suddenly it's in stock everywhere with the plastic potion dispenser. I don't mind the cardboard one.
No, it's fine. And they had 2 sets of marbles that they'd sort of had a spare set that they'd of slightly different coloured, but so that's interesting to do that. And the girls really enjoyed it.
They did, and it's because they played similar games in person. You know the kind of Candy Crush remove match up. Hopefully have chain reactions. So they played those kind of games. So it's nice to, obviously it's always nice to escape from screens and have kind of family time together. And they did get it. They all clicked together. They're keen to play it again.
I'm the master potion mixer though.
Yes, but you can see the kind of delight in their faces when a chain reaction happens, and whether it's on purpose or just by accident, and they're getting lots and lots and lots, and that's nice to see.
Yeah, it's great when you cascades and you've literally got a handful of marbles, amazing. And when you get a really good spell to activate, and it lets you do this, and then you get to do this one, and then you've done all of them in your little potions at the time. That's great. I played Rallyman Dirt, which was fun. I'd never played any of the Rallyman games before, and I thought it was really interesting that it had that, which I should have expected, but it had the sort of rally style start to it, where it's like the first player goes, and then the first player goes, and then the second player goes, and then the first player goes, and the second player goes, and the third player goes, and then it goes round and round and round, because your sort of start points are like you would in that rally. And I like that, but that does mean if you're the 5th player around the table, that's a lot of hanging around before you get to do anything. And you've also managed to see what everyone else has done and how that's worked out for them in terms of tactics before you get to have your try. So that was a slight issue in our game. But it was fun, and it was fun to try and skid through the corners, and I suppose the advantage counteracting that is that if you're further ahead of the field, if you're sort of skidding around corners and things, you might actually end up making that corner muddier or more difficult terrain for them to then pass as they come afterwards, which is thematically great. Really liked that. And if you're good at dice rolling, this game's great. We did play with our friend who's notoriously bad at dice rolling, and he had a hard time. So but it was fun. You're sort of, your cards, you're adding up like time, so by the time you get round to the end, you're just working out who's got there the quickest. So if you're into that racing style game, I think personally I prefer Heat, but I did enjoy this as well, and it was a nice change. So if you're really into racing games and you have like a collection of them, they do feel quite different to play. So you could definitely have both if you're so inclined. And we've already mentioned your favourite game of the month.
Yeah.
But we will also have to discuss my favourite game of the month, which was Rising Sun. And it's a game that I think we mentioned before we picked up at the Games Expo back in June and have only just managed to get it to the table.
There's a reason for that though. Cause
it is a three-player game. So, you know, you've got to have someone else come around who's willing to come and be spending time with you. But yeah, well, he kindly came over and already knows the game, so could do a teach, which was great. And I think that this game is going to be way up there in my high list.
I really enjoyed it.
Obviously, the minis are amazing. I really think that the amount that we get to play is gonna that's literally gonna be the only point of sort of how high it goes up on my list. Because if we do manage to get to a table quite a lot this year, it's just gonna shoot right up there. So it's all on that really.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to playing it with like 4 players and seeing how the alliances change with that.
Yeah, because that's really interesting, because it really does change like what options you're going to choose. We played it in the 3 where someone was always out of an alliance, but that would be interesting when you're potentially both in different alliances, and do you then stick with that or do you break them to go with someone else for your advantage? Yeah, really interesting.
I know another game that's going to be in your top. I think it's going to be in your top 10 in the future.
Do you? Yes.
Trickerion.
It's the one we played most recently, right at the end of the month, and it's one that I've wanted for ages, and we managed to pick it up again at a Bring and Buy at a convention. It's a Kickstarter
edition.
Original edition, so it's got the little magician tokens that the newer versions don't have, and I think that we probably need to re-download some extra different rules.
I think
and
some rule tweaks,
but it's such a good game.
It's very good. Yeah, I was daunted by it because a lot of people say it's very complicated, and we did include all of the elements. It's on the introduction game it says not to include some of them, but we were playing with people who had played it a lot before, so we went all the way up to
we did the dark
7 rounds,
alley.
had the dark alley added, and it's not as daunting as I thought it was going to be.
No, it makes sense because there are basically sort of 4 areas on the board, one of which you're going shopping for stuff for your tricks. Another one, you're going to either get extra helpers, extra money, or learning new tricks. The dark alley just basically gives you bigger and better cards to do something extra with. And then obviously there's the theatre, where you can either send your assistant to sort of prep the trips and get them all ready, or your magician's going to perform. And so because that element of it is quite logical, and where am I in the stage of being able to perform a magic trick, what's going on, it sort of eases the technical side of things in terms of how many actions have I got, can I do this, how can I mitigate this, when do I need to get there so that I've got the thing that I need and my opponent doesn't, and all of those bits and bobs that can complicate a game, just it makes sense with the theme. So it's an easier ride, I think. And a great teach, obviously.
that helps. And I liked how, when you had the market with the dice, and then you're picking one, but then removes that option for other people. So that's fun too. For a worker placement game, I didn't get enough workers to place early enough, which I think was the problem there.
Yeah, you needed more assistance.
I did. Well, I wasn't really setting up. I think people got a bit bored of me climbing out of a barrel or pulling rabbits from a hat, and everyone else is opening doors to other dimensions. Rabbit out of a hat again. But it was really good. It was really good.
Really fun. I'm excited to play it and see how it works at 2. One of the reasons that I sort of decided that this game came on my radar really was because I'd seen how Monique had loved it from Before You Play, and they obviously play together at a 2, so I know that does work well, and it's still one of her favourite games, so it would be nice to this was a 4 that we played it at, so it would be nice to play it at 2 and see the differences there.
Want to play again?
But I
and,
really enjoyed that.
We've also been playing some games from Descent. They sent us a package. I'm not going to talk too much about those because that is going to be coming up in a future video. But needless to say, if you know of Library Labyrinth and their roll and colour range, it's as good as they are, the bits we've played. So it was nice to kind of get that and and work through those. It was always fun to kind of get surprises in the post. So.
Exactly, yeah, so keep your eye out for that video coming up shortly.
Bit of varied batch?
Yes, yeah, we have managed to do our play an old favourite. So that's great. We have got some new games in there, ones that are soon to be old favourites, I think, for sure. And I have been doing some challenges on BG Stats, like an A to Z, and some of our favourite games to make sure they do get played, and a few other bits and bobs. So it's been nice to sort of check in on progress every sort of quarter or so and see how we're doing for those. But I think we're doing okay.
Yeah. I know next month we're going to be talking about another new old favourite, because we've just embarked on another game with Jeff and Jamie of Obsession, so let's see how that goes. I like to think we've got the home field advantage
see how fancy you are
being British, but so we'll be talking about that next month.
I've never won, so good luck to me. I'm clearly not fancy enough.
No,
I'm gonna have to work on my accent.
That would happen. Yeah. But what have you been playing in January? Do let us know in the comments down below. And what about our choices? Anything here that you thought, oh, I really enjoy that much more than you, or that you think we are enjoying it more than we should, perhaps? Do let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, we love to hear from you, and obviously please subscribe, we'd love that, and click the bell so you get notifications of all our videos that we put up. We often do 2 to 3 all about board games every single week.
And yeah, we'll see you again in February when we're talking about all the games we've played. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.